All right. So, title of my presentation and my project is price gouging during COVID-19, the coronavirus, um, by Clay Baldwin. So, what is price gouging? That's what we're going to start with. Price gouging and background of price gouging, and then I'll get into the coronavirus. Um, So what is price gouging? Price gouging, the definition is when a store or seller raises the prices of products or services by more than a reasonable amount. Reasonable being somewhat subjective. Uh, we will get into that. I'll get into that. I'll talk about that later. Um, Price gouging is common when there's a positive demand or negative supply shock. Um, So sudden, dramatic, and unexpected increase in demand, or sudden, dramatic, and unexpected increase or decrease in supply. The background of price gouging: if sellers could raise prices, if they can, they will. So what's special about price gouging is it's really done just because it can be done. If you can sell something for more, you will. So historically, price gouging has been done, or at least attempted, when these positive demand shocks and or negative supply shocks occur. When does price gouging not work? So here's an example of a store that might want to attempt raising prices, but maybe it's better if they don't. If a store has an average of 100 customers per week that buy 1 gallon of milk each at $2.75 a gallon, and say the weekly milk delivery does not arrive for any store in the town, so there won't be milk for the following week, and people know this, the store may attempt to price gouge because of the negative supply shock. Say 10% of the customers really need milk and they're willing to pay $40 for a gallon, but the other 90 customers, the other 90%, are only willing to pay, say, double, $5.50 per gallon. The store might think, wow, $40 a gallon, it's so much, let's raise the price to $40. Assuming every customer will still only buy 1 gallon despite the group they are in, whether that's they really need milk or they just need it a little bit more and they'll pay double. The store will make $495 selling a gallon to 90% of the customers at $5.50 a gallon, and they would only make $400 by selling for $40 a gallon. In this scenario, the store would not be better off by price gouging, and therefore they would or should not attempt to. Although the profit margin of $40 per gallon looks great on paper, at the end of the day, they'll make more overall. They'll make more money overall by selling at that lower price without price gouging. Problems and uncertainties with this example: the customers still only bought 1 gallon. That their usual purchase amount of milk, despite the change in supply and therefore the change in price. The customers did not think about resale value. Customers might be willing to pay more than $5.50 a gallon if they knew they could resell the milk to another group of customers willing to pay more, willing to pay $40 a gallon. In the real world today, these customers would have more access to information via the internet. We have more access to prices of products and items pretty rapidly today. Now on to the coronavirus. Nearly the entire world has been affected by the coronavirus at this point. We still have some gray areas around the globe without that have technically not been affected. Blue being an affected region or country, but overall the entire world has been affected by this at this point. The following numbers are changing constantly. This data is as of April 27th, and the current data can be found on World Health Organization's website, or for the US, the CDC's website. Globally, about 3 million confirmed cases, about a third of that in the cases coming from the United States. The question relative to this class is, what impact does and will the coronavirus have on the economy? The specific question relative to my project is, what impact has or will the coronavirus have on price gouging? So tying the coronavirus to price gouging, we have what supply and or demand shocks have come up during the current pandemic to cause price gouging. We've seen a large increase in demand for cleaning supplies, medical supplies, toiletries, bath tissue, toilet paper, dry non-perishable foods, rice, soup, things like ramen, chips, and even perishable items like milk. The demand for these have increased rapidly since mid to late February. Demand for these items have increased because people either need these items or they think they will need more of these items than they normally would. Another possibility is they are uncertain of the availability of these items in the future, right? So if someone normally buys 15 rolls of toilet paper for their house per month, they're unsure if they're going to be able to do that for the next several months. So that might prompt them to buy more presently. Examples of items that have been price gouged. These two on the left here are from eBay, going back all the way back to February 29th, a bottle of hand sanitizer being sold for $240. And then as recently as April 28th, this is the most extreme example I've seen, but 2 bottles of Lysol wipes selling for a little over $2,500 each. And then an example on the right of in-store toilet paper being sold for $90 for 36 rolls. The general response to price gouging: many news sources claiming that online platforms have a quote-unquote ethical obligation to root out price gouging on hand sanitizer and other high demand products during the coronavirus pandemic. The question of morality or ethics is almost always cited as an argument to stop price gouging, as not many people can afford these absurdly high prices for items that could potentially save lives during this pandemic. Customers have not taken these major price increases lightly either. Prosecutors across the country are investigating exorbitant price increases on hand sanitizer, disinfectant wipes, and masks. So people are starting to hire lawyers, and a wave of lawsuits may be coming for those who have participated in price gouging. Are there any benefits to price gouging? It's always been my opinion that if you have willing sellers and willing buyers, there's not a problem with the sale. Sort of like it's none of my business, really. No one's at gunpoint in that scenario. However, this does pose other risks in a time like this when safety is on the line. If it means less people are able to obtain items that could save their own or other people's lives, then there is a problem, which is the case with this deadly virus. This is what must be resolved. How to get these high demand items to as many people as possible while curbing negative economic impacts, the negative economic impact in the process. The controversy around price gouging really begins with, are we doing more harm than good by enforcing price gouging laws and trying to regulate prices? An example here, if a seller has hand sanitizer that they are willing to sell for $50 and there's a buyer who is more than willing to purchase for $50, then to me, there shouldn't really be a problem. But if price gouging regulations are stopping the sale, then aren't the regulators preventing the hand sanitizer from getting to someone who may really need it? So that's a question that raises some controversy around price gouging. Stopping these sales, even admittedly at absurd prices, may be unethical if it results in sellers keeping cleaning products or medical supplies or toiletries because they're not allowed to sell at market prices and buyers not being able to purchase them, buyers who would like to purchase them if they were available for sale, even at high prices. Has state or government regulation of prices helped curb price gouging? The Department of Justice says they are remaining vigilant in detecting, investigating, and prosecuting any wrongdoing related to this crisis. Whether or not a result of state or government regulation, Amazon has suspended more than 3,900 selling accounts in the US alone for violating quote unquote fair pricing policies, which I believe are plus or minus 10, maybe 15% of historic prices for items. And I think they've suspended more than 6,000 accounts globally for price gouging. However, as we see large-scale online stores cracking down on price gouging, what about smaller scale hand-to-hand transactions? For these, we will have to continue to monitor sites like eBay, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, as this is where price gouging activity may still be on the rise. Price gouging on the rise, even with these increased enforcement around price gouging, it's still possible that it's on the rise, and it's actually possible that the very regulation and enforcement of it has contributed to the rise of price gouging elsewhere in smaller markets or third-party marketplaces. For example, if the quote-unquote market price for an 8-ounce bottle of hand sanitizer is now $20 due to the demand shock, up from, say, 8-ounce bottle used to cost $5. What happens if some portion of bottles are sold below this market price? The market will try to balance out and get to an average selling price of $20 per bottle. Lower prices in stores and higher prices out of stores on these third-party marketplaces create an incentive for people to overbuy at the lower prices. What does this look like? Here on the left, photo of hand sanitizer being sold in store, 2 bottles for $5. On the right, 2 bottles of hand sanitizer being sold for $85. So we have the bottles being sold under price gouging regulations for quote unquote reasonable prices at $2.50 a bottle, and another portion of bottles being price gouged essentially at $42.50 a bottle, bringing the market to its average price in this example of $22.50 a bottle. The question is this a problem? Would people rather have 50% of bottles sold at $2.50 a bottle and 50% sold at $42.50 a bottle? Or would they rather have all bottles sold at similar prices? Unfortunately, this drastic difference in price is the result of poorly regulated prices and lack of enforcing price gouging laws, which has created this large difference that we see. A solution to this, so to close this gap in price differences among products in higher demand, prices must be fully regulated effectively to the fullest extent, or state and government regulations must pull back in this time and allow prices to rise in stores and balance out for these products. Ideally, we will see further enforcement and proper regulation. I say ideally because there are many people who still cannot afford some of these potentially life-saving products, even at balanced market prices. So ideally, we'll be able to, or regulators will be able to further enforce these price gouging laws that have been set in place, and to just keep prices low for everyone. If that can't happen, we're gonna see just this disparity in prices grow to possibly more absurd than a $2,500 bottle of Lysol wipes. If the prices stay so low in stores and the demand shock and the increased demand is still here, that will not be good going forward. So we're hoping that I'm hoping that this gap will close a little bit as we get through this. And the last slide here, I've got works cited. Okay, and I would take questions, but I think that will be all. Thank you.